Hi, fellow Texas Questers. This is Diane Bays. Welcome to my How Big is Texas podcast. This podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, my amusement, and to tell you a little something about the Lone Star State. Feel free to add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow me on social media at How Big is Texas or on my blog, howbigistexas.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast production. Now let's get started with today's Texas Quest. I was recently driving the back roads of Texas while playing Sirius Radio. I was bouncing around from one news station to the next, listening to the broadcasters tell their own versions of the same story, all very different interpretations of the news. In a few short minutes, I heard so much bickering I had to turn it off. Interviewees and interviewers were continually talking over each other, and I could no longer even follow the story due to all the noise they were making. It was exhausting. After a few minutes of channel surfing, I found myself switching to the tunes on my Apple Music How Big is Texas playlist and focusing on Texas-born artists instead. George Strait entertained me with Somewhere Down in Texas and Amarillo by Morning. Lyle Lovett sang That's Right, You're Not From Texas, This Old Porch, and Texas River Song. All of these songs reminded me of simple things in life and what I love about having grown up in the Lone Star State. In my humble opinion, there's nothing better than being on an old porch swing in the evening, listening to Texas music while cicadas and crickets join in. There's also something about swaying to and fro in a noisy, squeaking swing that soothes the soul, at least for me. In our backyard, around 50 feet away from the official world headquarters of How Big is Texas, there's an outdoor wooden porch swing that my husband built a few years ago. Whenever I can, I love to sit on that swing and listen to nature with a few man-made sounds thrown in for good measure. The neighbor's roosters crow, birds chirp, a dog occasionally barks, a morning lawnmower runs before the heat of the day arrives, and the chain from the porch swing squeaks, a sound annoying to some, but one I find to be very endearing. But I digress. While in the car, Miranda Lambert's The House That Built Me began to play. I smiled because it's one of my go-to songs whenever I need a little building up or even reminder of things. This is my favorite piece from the lyrics of this song by the artist. You leave home, you move on, and you do the best you can. I got lost in this whole world and forgot who I am. With so much turmoil in today's world, I started to think that perhaps that's what has happened to a lot of people this day and age. They're lost in the world and forgot who they were. Who knows? Maybe they wanted or needed to forget. Or maybe they never knew, and the struggle to figure it out is a challenge in its own right. In thinking of that drive on the back roads of my beloved Texas, I had some ideas I thought I would share. I've moved a lot over my time. 20 times in Texas. The best memories I have are spending time with my grandparents. I miss them so much and think of them often. It always puts a smile on my face. Their life really was simple, but it wasn't easy. They worked hard and weren't afraid to do so. I suppose it was expected during that time. It was what you did. In thinking of the lessons I learned from them growing up, I believe my work ethic came from having such great role models who were not afraid to work for everything they got. I remember my first job at the Panther Cove Drive-In as a waitress in the small town of Follett, Texas, located in the northeast corner of the Texas Panhandle. I was young. I think I'd recently turned 15 because I remember having to file my taxes the following year and had no idea what that was all about. Since that time, I've worked almost every year, aside from when I took off to be a stay-at-home mom. And while I didn't receive a paycheck for that, it was still work, so I suppose I can say I've worked in some capacity since I was 15. And thanks to those role models I mentioned earlier, I'm proud of that work ethic. We had great times with my grandparents, especially when listening to my pawpaw's storytelling. If there had been an award for Teller of Tales back in the day, I have no doubt he would have won. I'm a huge movie watcher, but no movie has ever been as enjoyable as seeing my grandfather take center stage from his recliner in their small living room and spinning a yarn while a captive audience awaited the punchline. My grandma, on the other hand, was much more quiet, at least when Pawpaw was doing his thing. Don't get me wrong, if she had an opinion about something, she let you know, but she did it with tact, something we could all certainly be better at when delivering our own opinions. I know I could improve. What Grandma lacked in storytelling ability, she more than made up with in her gardening skills, quilting, singing church hymns, painting, and cooking, to name a few. Her flowers were a welcoming sight when we pulled into their driveway in East Texas, especially her irises. Even though we lost Grandma in 1997, those irises she raised can still be seen in gardens around East Texas. I know she would be proud of that fact. Like many people I've heard talking about their own grandmothers, mine was an exceptional cook. Her food was by no means fancy. The recipes were simple. She didn't follow a cookbook. The ideas came out of her head, likely passed down from her own mother. I'm fortunate to have a few of those recipes that she did write down, but the majority live only in my memory. She could do more with meager ingredients and salt and pepper than most chefs of today could do with the same items. We enjoyed Southern home-cooked meals whenever we visited. Chicken and dumplings, fried chicken, baked sweet potatoes, purple hull peas and cornbread, chocolate meringue pie, banana pudding, and peach cobbler. Now I'm getting hungry. Sweet tea was always on the menu. She brewed her own. There was no purchasing pre-made gallons of tea, and certainly there were no drive-through tea locations to be found. In fact, I always wonder what she would think about people paying $6 a gallon for gourmet tea from a drive-through when you could buy a box of tea bags for that price that would serve 100. If I had the ability to have that conversation with her, it would be a discussion I would likely lose if I tried to justify it with her. But I will admit I've actually paid that price for the convenience at the time. I know this podcast has gone in all different directions, including driving the Texas back roads, listening to music, discussing my family roots, and talking about the high cost of drive-through beverages. But I believe one of those things, if not more, could resolve a lot of today's issues. At least I think they could. Whether you pay $3 for an iced tea from a drive-thru or make a gallon of sweet tea at home, sitting on a porch swing and enjoying that Southern beverage staple with family, friends, and even enemies might be just the ticket to solve the world's problems, or at least the problems in your neck of the woods. My question to you is this: could a glass of sweet iced tea, music, and a home-cooked meal be the answer to communicating better, solving our political woes, or repairing any other issues in life? I don't know the answer, but I definitely think it's worth considering. All that said, this will be the easiest question you'll have to answer all day. What'll it be? A glass of iced tea, you say? Sweet or unsweet? I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. You can also follow me at How Big is Texas on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. If you like this podcast, please take the time to give us a Texas-sized friendly review. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, in Texas, safe travels.